Part 1. Lucas Carter woke early to a strange pattern of beeps in his cabin. He sat up and rubbed his eyes. The lights on his console flickered with a repeating message. The words were old, but the voice was clear. "I've waited for you for 1,000 years." Lucas studied the message. It came from a distant region of space. The signal was faint and warped by time. He felt a chill. He had heard legends of lost worlds and ancient ties, but never proof. Now the proof was in his hands. He moved to the ship's lab. Emma Roberts was already there, scanning data on her holodisplay. She looked tired, but her eyes lit up when she saw him. "You got it too?" she asked. Lucas nodded. "It says it waited for me." Emma frowned. "Who is it?" Lucas shook his head. "I don't know. But it means something. We need to find out." Emma tapped the console. "The crew did not plan for this." "The captain will want to know," Lucas agreed. He left the lab and walked down the corridor. The ship's hum was quiet. Paintings and trophies lined the walls. Each told a story of missions past. Lucas wondered if this would be the greatest dot in the bridge. The captain looked up when Lucas and Emma entered. Captain Harper was a strong woman with calm eyes. She held a tablet and studied the latest charts. "Report?" she said. Emma stepped forward. "We received a message from Sector Delta 9. It repeated a single line. 'I've waited for you for 1,000 years. The source matches no known beacon." Captain Harper's brow furrowed. She tapped her tablet. "Delta 9 is uncharted. No records from Earth or allied worlds." "How clear is the signal?" Lucas glanced at Emma. She nodded. "Strong enough to decode the message. It used Old Galactic common. The accent is unknown." Harper stood. "Set a course. We leave in 1 hour. Prepare for a long jump." Emma and Lucas exchanged looks. A long jump meant days in hypersleep. It meant risking supplies, but it also meant finding the sender. Lucas felt his heart race. Back in the crew quarters, Lucas packed his bag. He placed a photograph of his family on top. His younger sister, Aria, had left years ago on her own mission. She was now missing. Lucas wondered if this message could be connected. Aria's last words to him echoed, "Find me if you can." He traced his finger over her smiling face in the photo. Outside, the crew prepared the jump drive. Technicians checked coolant lines. Engineers tightened bolts. The ship groaned under the strain. Lucas and Emma helped load supplies and check scanners. Lucas found a moment to talk to Emma. "Do you think this could link to Aria?" he asked quietly. Emma hesitated. She chose her words. "Maybe, but it could be someone else. We do not know the sender's identity." Double quotes. Lucas nodded. "But the message felt personal. I saw hope in the tone." Emma placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll find answers." He smiled at her confidence. Captain Harper called the crew to the bridge. Seats clicked as everyone took place. The navigator activated the star chart. A blue line stretched across empty space. "Engage jump drive," the captain ordered. Lights on the panel turned green. A low hum grew louder. The ship shuddered. Lucas braced himself. Emma held a handrail. A flash of light filled the room. Then silence. When the glow faded, they were gone from the known galaxy. Lucas opened his eyes. Stars stretched like lines. He felt both small and excited. "We are in hyperspace," the navigator said calmly. Hours passed. The crew rotated shifts. Lucas took one turn at the helm. He watched the navigator's readings. "Approaching exit point," the navigator announced. Lucas sat up. His pulse quickened. Captain Harper returned to the bridge. "Prepare for exit. Stand by for arrival." The jump drive wound down. The hum slowed. The stars ahead brightened. With a soft jolt, the ship re-entered normal space. Ahead lay a world of blue and white clouds. Rings of ice and rock circled it. Emma gasped. "That planet, it matches an ancient map." She pointed to the screen. "The old explorers called it Ilaria." Lucas remembered the legends. Ilaria was said to be the home of a powerful line of rulers. It vanished after a war. Many believed it to be myth. Captain Harper's voice broke in. "Prepare to descend. We will land near the equator. Stay alert." The ship hummed as thrusters engaged. Lucas went to the viewport. He saw the rings shining. The atmosphere glowed pale green. He felt a mix of fear and wonder. He did not know what they would find, but he felt drawn to the world. He thought of Arya and the message. Maybe this was where she hid. Behind him, the crew hurried. Emma checked sensors. Other crew members loaded exploration gear. Lucas returned. To his station, he typed commands to target a clearing. The ship tilted. They plunged into clouds. Raindrops alerted on the viewport. Winds shook the hull. Lightning flashed around them. Stabilizers holding. The engineer reported. "Keep descent steady," Harper replied. The clouds broke. Below lay a valley with ancient ruins. Towers of white stone rose above green forests. Vines crawled over broken pillars. Lucas stared. He felt an ache in his chest. It was familiar and new. "Landing zone in sight," the navigator said. The ship touched down on a plateau. Dust rose, then the engines powered down. A heavy silence followed. Harper smiled. "Welcome to Ilaria." Lucas reached for his bag. He saw Arya's photo. He tucked it into his pocket. He took his first step on alien ground. The air felt fresh. The ruins whispered history. Lucas breathed deep. He would find the truth. And maybe he would find Arya too. He looked at the ancient towers and heard the message again. "I've waited for you for 1,000 years." He did not know why, but now he had begun a journey that would change everything. Part 2. Lucas Carter stepped off the ramp and looked around. The valley stretched before him with broken towers and fallen columns. Vines wrapped around stone walls. The air smelled sweet and fresh. Emma Roberts followed, carrying her scanner. She waved it in front of her face. "I read strange energy readings. They come from that overhead arch." She pointed to a massive stone arch half buried in moss. Lucas nodded. "Let's start there." Arya moved beside him, clutching her orb. She studied the ruins with wide eyes. "This place feels alive," she said softly. They walked under the arch. Sunlight filtered through broken stones, making patterns on the ground. Each step echoed in the silence. Emma tapped her scanner. "The energy pulses in rhythm, like a heartbeat." Lucas paused. He placed his hand on the arch. He felt a gentle vibration. "It guides us." They followed the pulsing energy. Through winding paths, broken walls rose on each side. Strange symbols were carved into the stones. Emma used her holopen to sketch them. Lucas asked Arya, "Do these symbols mean anything to you?" Arya knelt. She traced a symbol with her finger. Her eyes widened. "This is the sign of the princess. My grandmother used it to mark safe paths." Lucas looked at the symbol and then at Arya. "You know these paths?" Arya stood. "I saw them in my dreams. They led me here." They came to a clearing. At its center lay a circular platform etched with more symbols. The energy pulse was strongest here. Emma examined the platform. "It's a conduit. It channels power from the planet's core." Lucas stepped onto the platform. The energy flowed through his boots. He felt lightheaded. The message replayed in his mind. "I've waited for you for 1,000 years." Arya placed her orb on the platform next to him. The orb glowed and began to float. Symbols on the platform lit up. A soft hum filled the air. A shape formed above the platform. It took the form of a young woman with pale skin and silver hair. Her eyes were bright and curious. The figure looked at Lucas. "You have come?" Lucas took a step back. Emma gasped. Arya held her breath. "Who are you?" Lucas asked. The figure smiled gently. "I am Lyra, Princess of Ilaria, and I have waited." Double quotes. Arya gasped. Emma raised her scanner. Lucas felt his heart pound. Lyra continued. "My heart remained in this world when darkness took over. My body was trapped in stasis. My mind spoke through the crystal network." Lucas found his voice. "The message, it was you?" Lyra nodded. "I reached out. I knew you would hear." Emma spoke up. "Why him?" "Why Lucas Carter?" Lyra's gaze fixed on Lucas. "He carries the blood of our ancient line. His ancestors fought beside me in the last battle. His soul is tied to mine." Arya's eyes filled with tears. "Lucas, you are royal blood." Lucas shook his head. "I am just an explorer." Lyra's form flickered. You are more. You hold the promise of peace. The orb floated higher. Their surroundings glowed brighter. Energy rippled across the clearing. Suddenly, a rumble came from behind. Rocks fell as a dark shape emerged. Shadowy creatures with glowing red eyes burst. From the underbrush. Lucas raised his sidearm. Emma powered up her stun baton. Arya leaped forward, holding her orb. Lyra's form glowed with light. The creatures snarled and charged. Arya pointed her orb. A beam of light shot forward and struck the nearest creature. It disintegrated into dust. Lucas fired. The shot hit one creature's shoulder. It screeched and lunged at him. He dodged and fired again. The beast collapsed. Emma ran forward. She swung her baton and stunned a creature in midair. It fell with a crack. Lyra's voice rang out. "Stand back!" She raised her hand. A shield of light formed around them. The creature slammed into the shield but could not break through. Red eyes faded to orange and then to blue. They retreated and fled. The clearing fell silent. Lucas put away his sidearm. "What were those?" Lyra lowered her hand. "Shadows born of the darkness. They guard the old paths," Emma panted. "They sensed your power," Lyra nodded. "They will not harm us now." Arya smiled at Lyra. "Thank you." Lyra's form shimmered. "We have little time. The palace core needs the final shard." She pointed to a path leading uphill. Lucas looked at the narrow path. Vines covered the stones. The steps were worn and cracked. Lyra said, "Follow me." They climbed the path. Each step brought them closer to the palace entrance. The energy pulse guided their feet. At the top, they saw the palace walls rising into the sky. Towers reached above broken battlements. Emma scanned the walls. "I detect a force field protecting the gates," Lyra sighed. "The darkness left its mark." "Only blood of the royal line can open it." Lucas felt his pulse quicken. Lyra stepped forward and placed her hand on the gate. Nothing happened. Lyra looked at Lucas, her eyes hopeful. "You must touch the gate, Lucas Carter." His hand trembled as he reached forward. His palm met the cold metal. He closed his eyes. The gate pulsed. Light spread across its surface. Symbols glowed. With a rumble, the gate parted. They entered the palace grounds. The sun shone through cracks in the walls. Grass grew between flagstones. Lyra turned to them. "We will find the final shard in the throne room. But first we must make our way through the Hall of Echoes." Lucas nodded. "We are ready." They moved into the shadow of the palace. The message rang in Lucas's mind again. He felt the weight of history and hope. And he knew the path ahead would test them all. Part 3. Lucas Carter led the small group through the Hall of Echoes. The walls were lined with polished panels that reflected their steps. Each echo repeated faintly, as if the walls remembered voices from ages past. Emma Roberts carried her scanner high. "I detect tonal shifts in the echoes," she said. "They carry messages we must hear," Lucas nodded. He stepped forward and placed his ear to the wall. He heard a whisper, "Remember your bond." Arya and Lyra followed. Arya held her orb. Close, its glow soft in the dim corridor. Lyra's eyes scanned each reflection as though looking for a hidden entrance. Suddenly a panel slid open. Behind it lay a narrow passage. The echo inside repeated, "Find the mirror of truth." Lucas shone his torch. The passage was tight, with low arches. Dust coated the floor. They entered one by one. Inside, the walls glowed with pale blue light. Along the corridor, mirrors stood tall, each framed by carved symbols. The floor was smooth glass. Emma whispered, "The mirror of truth." "Which one?" Lyra stepped forward. "Look for the symbol of unity." She pointed to a mirror with two hands carved holding each other. Arya touched the symbol. The mirror shimmered. Lucas approached and peered into the glass. At first he saw his reflection, then the image shifted. He saw himself kneeling beside a young woman in a white gown. They held hands. The scene flickered. Lucas gasped. He stepped back. That's me." Lyra stood beside him. She looked into the glass. Her form changed to a queen's crown upon a throne. Tears welled in her eyes. Arya placed her orb on the floor. It glowed and lifted the mirrors. Surface, the corridor filled with light. Their reflections faded, replaced by visions of the past. Emma shone her scanner on the other mirrors. Each mirror showed a moment from ancient times, battles, treaties, ceremonies. The story of Lucas's ancestors and Lyra's people. A final mirror stood at the end. It was small, with no frame. Its surface was dark. Lyra whispered, "The final test." Lucas hesitated. "Test?" Lyra nodded. "Truth must guide you." He stepped forward and touched the glass. Instantly, the surface turned to liquid. It pulled at his hand like water. Lucas felt a tug in his mind. Doubts and fears surfaced. He saw himself failing, leaving Lyra alone, running from destiny. His heart pounded. He wanted to pull away, but remembered Lyra's words, "I have waited." He closed his eyes. He thought of Arya's hope and Emma's trust. He thought of the message echoing in his mind. With resolve, he whispered, "I accept." The liquid stilled. The mirror cleared. Lucas saw himself standing tall beside Lyra, guiding her with honor. The corridor trembled. Light flooded the tunnel. The mirrors dissolved into dust. They emerged into a chamber of soft light. In the center lay a small pedestal with a crystal key. Emma picked it up. "This must unlock the way to the throne room," Lyra smiled. "We are one step closer." Lucas placed the key in his pocket. He felt stronger. He looked at his friends. "Let's finish this," he said. They returned to the Hall of Echoes. The walls now silent, as if proud of the past revealed, they climbed a staircase at the end of the corridor. Each step brought them nearer to the palace heart. At the top, a large door stood closed. It bore a keyhole shaped like the crystal key. Lucas inserted the key. The door clicked open. Beyond lay a grand hallway adorned with tapestries. At the end shone the throne room door. Lyra breathed in deeply. "The final challenge awaits." Lucas nodded. "We will face it together." Hand in hand, they stepped forward under the arch of hope and destiny. Part 4. The group paused before the throne room doors. The tall double doors were carved with scenes of past rulers. Vines had crept in and cracked the stone. Lucas Carter took a deep breath. He felt both fear and hope. Beside him, Lyra held her orb tight. Emma Roberts stood ready with her scanner, and Arya's orb glowed softly. Emma tapped the door with her scanner. "Energy readings are unstable. The core is near." She looked at Lucas. "We must act carefully." Lucas nodded. He placed his hand on the door's carving, the symbol of unity they had seen before. He pushed gently. The doors groaned and opened. Beyond lay a vast hall lit by a pale green light. At its center floated a shard of crystal, spinning slowly. The shard pulsed like a heartbeat. Lyra gasped. "The final shard of the core." Lucas stepped forward. Each footstep echoed in the empty hall. The air was thick with energy. Arya raised her orb. "I can guide it," she said. Her orb shone bright. It sent a beam to the shard. The shard stilled and hovered before her. Emma scanned around. Shadows stir. Lucas and Lyra exchanged worried looks. The shard's light grew intense. Suddenly, darkness poured from the walls. Shadowy limbs reached toward the shard. The air grew cold. Lucas drew his sidearm. He fired at a shadow. The beam passed through the form and hit the visible wall. The shadow hissed and dissolved. Emma activated her stun baton. She swung at a creature that lunged from a broken arch. It shattered into motes of black dust. Arya stood firm. She extended her orb. It glowed like the shard. She moved toward the shard and placed her orb beneath it. Lyra single quotes S form flickered as she stepped forward. She whispered an alien word. "The shards." Light brightened, linking with Arya's orb. A wave of energy pulsed through the hall. The shadows recoiled and fled back into the walls. Lucas watched. The shard lowered slowly into Arya's orb. The orb spun and pulsed. Then, with a soft click, the orb opened and absorbed the shard. Its light dimmed in a stable glow. Arya held the orb. "The core is whole now," Emma smiled. "We did it." Lyra approached. She bowed to Lucas. "You have restored my home." Lucas shook his head. "We did it together." Suddenly, the walls shook. The hall glowed with life. Cracks in the stone filled with green light. Above them, the ceiling opened to the sky. Sunlight poured into the hall. The pale green light mixed with gold. The energy of the shard moved through conduits along the walls. Vines shrank in stone, repaired itself. The palace breathed again. Lyra raised her arms. Light soared to the halls beyond. The broken towers glowed in the distance. Lucas felt his heart swell. He looked at Arya and Emma. They grinned. Lyra turned to them. The darkness has lost its hold. Lucas said, "Your world is free." Lyra's eyes shone with tears of joy. She turned to Lucas. "You have given me a gift?" Lucas stepped forward. "You gave me a purpose." She smiled and stepped closer. The orb floated between them. Emma and Arya watched as the energy spilled into the orb. The orb split into two, one for Lyra and one for Lucas. Lyra held her orb. Its glow matched her eyes. She touched Lucas's orb. "Our bond is sealed," she said softly. "We stand together for the future." Lucas held his orb. Its warmth spread through him. Outside, the palace grounds bloomed. Flowers sprouted from cracks. Trees grew tall. Birds flew through open windows. Emma stepped to the doorway. She sighed happily. This place is alive again. Arya ran forward and stepped into the sunlight. She laughed as she spun in the air. Lucas and Lyra followed. They stepped into the courtyard. Broken stone walls were now whole. The sky was clear. Crowds of creatures emerged. Aliens of many shapes and sizes walked forward. They knelt to Lyra and Lucas. A voice called out, "Long live the princess and the prince!" Lyra and Lucas stood side by side. They bowed together. The crowd cheered. Hope filled the air. Lyra turned to Lucas. "Will you stand with me as my prince?" Lucas smiled. "Yes, I will." She placed her hand in his. Their orbs glowed and rose above their heads. The light spread across the courtyard. The world of Ilaria had a new dawn. Lucas looked at Lyra. "Thank you for waiting." Lyra smiled. "I waited for you." They clasped hands and faced the gathering. Together they would lead Ilaria into its next 1,000 years. Part 5. Dawn's light warmed the marble floors as Lucas Carter and his friends gathered near the palace gates. Outside, thousands of Ilarian citizens waited with hope in their eyes. They had watched their world darken and crumble for centuries. Now, the restored shard promised a new beginning. Irian scouts carried lanterns and waved banners of silver and blue. Their voices rose in a chant, "Long live the princess!" Lucas smiled at Lyra. She stepped forward, her silver hair glinting in the sun. She raised her hand and the crowd fell silent. "People of Ilaria," Lyra began softly, "your patience and faith have healed our world. I return to you as your princess. Together we will rebuild." Cheers filled the air. Emma Roberts watched with pride. She had recorded the moment for history. Arya Carter stood beside Lucas. She held her orb in both hands. Its light danced across the faces in the crowd. After the ceremony, Lucas and Arya walked through the city streets. They saw broken homes and shattered statues. Children played among rubble, their laughter a sign of new life. Lucas turned to Arya. "How do we help them rebuild?" Arya smiled. "We use what we know. Earth technology and our crystal power can restore structures." They reached a workshop filled with engineers and mages. Machines hummed alongside glowing crystals. Lyra's council oversaw the work. Emma joined them, tablet in hand. "We have blueprints for solar generators. We can adapt them to the crystal grid," Lyra nodded. "Good. Energy is the first need. Then water and food?" Lucas saw a group of farmers discussing irrigation. He remembered Earth farming techniques. He offered suggestions on crop rotation and soil treatment. A farmer named Sarah approached. She thanked Lucas and asked for more advice. He spent time explaining simple methods to improve yield. As the sun climbed, they moved to the city walls. The guards had rebuilt a section with crystal-infused mortar. The wall now glowed faintly at night. Lucas admired the work. A guard saluted and called him Earth Friend. Lucas felt honored. Arya pointed to a temple nearby. Vines had been removed and fresh stones set in place. She said, "This was grandmother's temple. We will reopen it." Lyra placed her hand on Arya's shoulder. "I will lead the ceremony." Inside the temple, murals of ancient rulers covered the walls. Craftsmen touched up faded paintings. Lyra's voice echoed as she chanted a blessing. The air shimmered. The temple's core crystal lit up and pulsed. Energy flowed down corridors. A sense of peace settled over everyone. Emma recorded the event. She whispered to Lucas, "This will be the defining moment of your mission." Lucas nodded. He felt a deep bond with Ilaria. He no longer felt like an outsider. After the ceremony, Lyra invited them to the palace courtyard. A banquet was prepared with foods from Ilaria and Earth. Tables held fruits that glowed faintly and dishes made from land. Crops. Arya tasted a crystal fruit and smiled at Lucas. Sweet and light. Emma and Lucas compared it to a honeydew melon. They laughed. Guards played music with stringed instruments and crystal chimes. Dancing began under floating lanterns. Lyra took Lucas's hand and led a dance. He followed her. Graceful steps. Around them, laughter and music filled the night. Later, Lyra and Arya spoke of plans to teach youth both magic and science. They wanted a future where the two skills worked together. Lucas added, and exchange programs with Earth. Emma chimed in, "We can send teachers and receive scholars." Lyra's eyes brightened. "Yes, knowledge will bind our worlds." As the banquet ended, Lucas looked at the crystal shard on a pedestal. Its light was steady. It had healed Ilaria's heart. He whispered to Arya, "I never imagined I would fall in love with this world." Arya smiled. "Sometimes home is where destiny leads." Lucas took her hand. He felt hope for their future. As midnight approached, the shard's glow dimmed to a soft hum. Citizens returned to their homes, guided by the restored lights. Lucas, Emma, Arya, and Lyra stood together by the shard. Lyra spoke in a tone of promise. "This is just the beginning. Thanks to you, Ilaria will shine again." Lucas nodded. "We will stand by you, Princess, as friends and allies." The shard pulsed one last time for the night. Then it glowed steady, like a heartbeat at rest. Lucas felt peace. He saw 1,000 new dawns ahead for Ilaria and Earth, and he knew their bond would last 1,000 years more. Part 6. Morning light filled the palace courtyard as Lucas Carter and his companions gathered beside the restored shard. Birds flew above the towers. The air was fresh and warm. Princess Lyra stepped forward. She looked out at the city beyond the walls. Farms and workshops were already busy. "Our people have hope again," she said quietly. Arya Carter smiled. She held her orb, which glowed softly with renewed energy. "This is just the start." Emma Roberts checked her tablet. "Supplies from Earth are arriving. Engineers have set up communication arrays." Lucas took a deep breath. He felt proud. He had joined a mission that changed two worlds. Lyra turned to him. "Lucas, will you stay on Ilaria? We need your help." Lucas hesitated. He missed home, but he also felt he belonged here. Arya placed a hand on his arm. "We stay together." Lucas nodded, looking at Arya and Lyra. Then he replied, "I will stay. I want to help build this world." Lyra's eyes shone. She bowed her head. "I accept your gift." Outside the courtyard, the crowd cheered. Children ran through the fountain. Gardeners planted new flowers. Lucas and Arya walked with Lyra through the gates. They passed markets, where traders sold crystal gems and fresh fruit. A merchant called out, "Try our new crystal bread, healed by the shard." Lucas laughed and bought 2 loaves. He handed one to Arya. She took a bite and grinned. They reached a workshop where builders used earth tools and crystal mortar to rebuild a bridge. Arya watched the workers. She said, "This bridge will connect the old city to the new district." Emma joined them, waving. Her scanner, "The structure is stable." We mapped the design. Lyra placed her hand on the bridge railing. "This unites us." Lucas looked at the horizon. Mountains stood tall beyond crystal lakes. He felt adventure still awaited. Arya squeezed his hand. "We are home." They climbed a hill to view the city. Streets formed circles around the palace. Light from crystals lit each road. Lyra said, This design was grandmother's idea. It channels energy to every part of the city. Emma nodded. With Earth upgrades, we can improve efficiency. A breeze carried the message echo. Lucas closed his eyes and heard the words, "I've waited for you for 1,000 years." He smiled, "And I will stay for 1,000 more." Arya leaned on him. Lyra stood close. Emma rested her tablet on her hip. As dusk fell, they returned to the palace. Lanterns lit the pathways with a soft glow. Music drifted from concerts in the gardens. Inside, they sat around a table with cups of warm tea. Lyra poured from a crystal pitcher. Scheme rose in the LAMPL, IGHT. They spoke of plans, schools, farms, trade routes. They spoke of festivals to celebrate. Unity. Lucas said, "We should mark this day as the founding of a new era." Lyra agreed. "We will call it the Day of Returning." Arya suggested traditional dances. Emma offered to record stories for Earth archives. After the meeting, Lucas walked to the chamber where the shard rested. He knelt and touched it lightly. Light pulsed in response. He whispered, "Thank you." The shard glowed and sent a gentle warmth through his hand. Lucas rose and looked at a portrait of the great queen, their grandmother. Her eyes seemed to glow with pride. Outside the window, stars appeared in the clear sky. Ilaria's rings reflected moonlight. Lucas returned to the council hall. He saw Arya asleep at the table. He lifted her and carried her to a guest room. She stirred and smiled. "I'm home," she whispered. Lucas closed the door. He stood in the moonlight. He felt far from Earth but close to family. He pledged to protect this world and its people. He had found purpose and love. As he lay on the bed, he thought of the message once more. He understood its meaning now. Lyra had waited for him. He had found his place. And in the silence of the palace, two worlds beat together as one.